So I just saw Opus, the directorial debut of Mark Anthony Green, and I have some thoughts. Opus tells the story of a young journalist who is invited to an album listening event held by a reclusive pop star who has resurfaced after almost 30 years. After she arrives there, she begins to realize that there is something going on under the surface. And to get this out of the way, this film has been endlessly compared to other films of the same type of story: Midsommar, The Menu, Get Out, Don't Worry Darling, the list goes on. Are these types of comparisons fair? Yeah, I would say so. It sticks fairly close to the same ideas and moments that these other films use and doesn't really offer much on its own. It really doesn't say that much that hasn't already been said, but at the same time, that's not really the worst thing a film can do. I've seen things that are far worse than this, and I think that the negative backlash this has ensued is a little overblown. The film stars Ayo Edebiri, and she gives a good enough performance here, but due to the way that the character is written, it really doesn't give her enough material to show her range as an actress. Pretty early on in the film, we are told that her character is very down the middle, saying that she doesn't really have a unique perspective to offer. And I think they took that idea a little too far here. Saying she doesn't have a unique perspective honestly comes as an understatement, because she doesn't really have much to offer. She reacts to things the exact same way to the point it almost becomes dull and uninteresting, not really offering an interesting angle on anything. Ariel, I had to look her name up while writing this, versus a character like Danny from Midsommar is a night and day difference in the character writing. And for some reason, the film has a title card that seems like it's trying to be the Pearl title card, and I cannot even fathom why they would choose to do this. The film is set in modern times, so having a title card like this just feels completely off, feeling like it's trying to be something that it's not. Like a very confusing choice that did not make sense when it first came up, and does not make sense after seeing the entire film. It honestly oozes a sense of desperation. And since this film is based around an album listening event, you do get to hear a couple of songs from that album. And if they release these songs for real, I will be adding them to my playlist. That is all I can say. The music is actually pretty good here. Anyway, the real star of the film is John Malkovich as Moretti, the reclusive pop star from yesteryear, and he gives a genuinely fun performance here. And it's what I walked away from the film remembering the most. The dance number that he does early on in the film was honestly such a highlight. It was the right level of being fun, suspenseful, and sexy. I had a good time with it. And to move on into what did and didn't work here, the plot is nothing we haven't seen before, but I always do have some amount of fun watching a story like this unfold. Even when it's all over and you look back, it's like, so does that really make sense? And the answer is no, just no. Not everything here makes sense or contributes to the actual plot. Sometimes things just happen with no real answer or tangible reason for it to. An easy scene to point out is the beanbag chair scene, where something crazy happens just for the sake of it being crazy versus it actually adding to the narrative, or even making sense within the narrative. Some scenes in this feel like they are meant to be clipped and posted online to get people to watch the movie, but in the context of the film, why are these here? I'm always down to see some weird shit, but, make it make sense within the film, please. Thank you. I know I've been going quite hard in on this, but in fact, I did not hate this. Like I said before, I like seeing a story like this unravel, even if the story here isn't exactly unique. But I had fun for what it was. This is not a film that needs a second viewing. In fact, I have a feeling that this would really unravel itself in the worst way on rewatch. But for a one and done type film, I wasn't bored while watching it, and it deserves some flowers for that alone. And I don't want to go too hard into this. This is a feature-length indie debut. Now, should you spend your hard-earned cash to see this in theaters? Probably not, but if you need something to watch once it hits streaming, it's not the worst choice, but there is much more else out there done better. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Go see Opus for yourself and let me know what you think.